All right, guys. Thanks everyone for joining me again. Today, got a special guest, my first college player, Lola Mullaney from Harvard. Lola, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Um, Lola went to Manasquan High School. You guys won TOC 1 year, right?
Yep.
When you were there? Okay. And now she's the star basketball player at Harvard. How's everything going with you and your family with the virus and everything?
Um, as of now, everything's going pretty well. Starting to get into like routine. Family's healthy, so that's good. Just been trying to go day by day and hopefully hoping it gets better soon.
Now, how was handling schoolwork in college with the virus and everything?
Um, it was definitely an adjustment at first, just like kind of knowing how to navigate through online like schooling. Um, but thankfully they kind of shortened the semester overall, so it wasn't too bad, and they were very lenient with deadlines and adjusting to our specific conditions, so not too bad.
That's pretty good. I know,
Yeah,
talking to the high school kids, every
yeah,
school seems to be a little bit different. Manasquan, you have to be available for certain online classes during the day, and Freehold Regional, they just give you assignments in the morning, and you just plan your day however you want.
yeah,
Which both have uh, positives and negatives doing that.
yeah.
Uh, so, a little background: when did you start playing basketball?
um Probably like when I was maybe 5 or 6. I kind of always had a ball in my hand ever since I was kind of able to walk, but I guess started playing like rec basketball and like HYAA at like 6.
Did you play any other sports?
I played soccer for a while up until my freshman year of high school.
What made you stick with basketball over soccer?
Um, I think at some point it hit me that I just really wanted to play Division 1 basketball, and I knew that in order to do that, I would have to kind of put all my time and effort into basketball, and soccer was very time consuming as well. So I kind of had to just make a decision and knew that I loved basketball more.
Yeah, I mean, kids your age, it's tougher. Back when I was younger, everybody played two or three sports, pretty much all year. Now, AAU, or if you play academy soccer, it really doesn't allow you to
Yeah.
excel at both. If you want to excel at both sports. Now, joking a little bit, I sent you a text a few minutes ago. Looking at highlight videos, I saw that you used to be a singer, or do you still sing?
Um, so I kind of used to sing when I was younger, at like my school's talent shows. And like I sang at my aunt's wedding. So it's kind of just like I guess a side thing. Like I'm not like super into it, but I used to have some like performances, I guess you could say.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah, I was laughing when I found that. It's like not what I expected to see when I was looking up basketball highlights.
Yeah.
Do you have any siblings? And if so, did they play any sports?
I do have two older brothers. One, my oldest brother, Jake, he played basketball in high school, but not in college. And then my other brother played football at Columbia. He just graduated.
Oh, wow. So another Ivy Leaguer.
Yeah.
Um, talk about your parents for a little bit. I got to meet them at the Harvard Princeton game. Um, Obviously very supportive. Your mom was telling me she tries to get as many games as she could, to see you
Yeah.
play still, which is great. Can you talk about them a little, and how they helped your development when you were younger?
Yeah, I definitely couldn't have done like anything without them. Just endless times driving me to trainings and AAU tournaments, everything like that. And they never miss any games of mine. This year, I think they missed one game. And Boston's not super close, but they also went.
Yeah, I mean that's great that she was telling me that she to go up. And Ivy League, they do schedules a little different. Like Friday, right? Friday and Saturday. That's it, right, for Ivy League. All right, guys. Sorry about. I was in my basement. I think bad service down there. So yeah, sorry, you were saying your parents being able to get to your Harvard games. I mean, that has to be big. And talk a little, the schedule for Ivy League. They play only on Fridays and Saturdays, right?
Yeah, so for our conference, there's always been our schedule was Friday, Saturday games. So for home games, you would just be home Friday, Saturday, obviously, and then for away games, you would leave like Thursday afternoon for whoever we're playing, and then play each other's travel partners.
Do you find that helpful when you're trying to, plan your schoolwork, for the week, knowing that you only have games on Friday and Saturday?
Um, that was definitely an adjustment at first, just because for away games specifically, you would miss at least 2 days of class a week.
Mhm.
So it kind of I had to start figuring out a way that I could plan and get my work done. But a lot of us on my team would just try to do work on the bus rides because they're so long. So
Okay. I mean, we'll talk a little more about uh, college a little after we go through high school stuff and what current high school kids could expect moving on to the next level.
okay.
First, going to high school now, your freshman year, you played at Colts Neck, right?
Yep.
Is that okay? What were some goals you had going into, high school for basketball?
Um, I think some of the goals that I had were just, I guess, initially become a Division I basketball player, but I think specifically at Colts Neck, I just wanted to be a really good player for the team at a young age. And I knew coming into it that Colts Neck was kind of like not like at the top of like the short conference, kind of somewhere in the middle. So I knew that I had the opportunity to play right away, and I knew that I wanted to impact the program right away.
Okay. And then sophomore year, you moved over to Manasquan, right?
Yep.
Now, going to Manasquan, when I used to write for the paper over, the Coast Star, and they've always had, great players. What was it like playing with Mayberry and Faith?
Um, it was definitely a lot of fun. I knew I transferred there initially just knowing that I wanted to play with players that had a similar mindset to mine and similar goals of playing Division I basketball. So playing with them, obviously both Division I great players, so it was definitely a lot of fun over the years.
Yeah. So what? It was your junior year. You guys made the TOC run, right?
Yes.
Mhm. To talk a little bit about that. I mean, the common theme, when I talk to players is, the RBCs, St. Rose, Manasquan, now Manchester.
Yep.
The theme is, not always to win shore conference. It's always, TOC is the beginning of the year that, the goal is TOC.
Yeah.
And, Manasquan all the year, every year, winning Group 2. Talk about that run, getting to win the TOC and how that felt.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite years of high school. But at the beginning of every season, I remember Coach Lisa would always write like our team goals before the season, and obviously short conference would still be up there, but our main goal was winning the TOC just because I think it is a greater accomplishment just because it is the whole state. And it's like the final kind of tournament that we could possibly win. So once we finally accomplished that, it was just great to come back like in the locker room and check that off, um, celebrate that win.
Who did you, what did you play Franklin that year in the
Yeah.
TOC?
Yep.
Now, another team that, they seem always to be in the finals.
Yeah.
Mm. Now, you brought up Coach Lisa. How is it playing for her?
Um, it was a lot of fun. I think she's a very good coach, and she's only gotten better over the years since she got there. And she built like a very strong program, and I think it will continue to be a strong program over the years. But I have a good relationship with her too, so that's good.
Yeah, I got to see them play more this year than I did your senior year, and it was pretty impressive watching her coach. I mean, she doesn't stop every minute, even
Yeah,
even junk time. benches are in. She's still coaching her team, teaching and stuff. It was really impressive. I said to one parent, I go, I'm exhausted just watching her coach, how she feels, but she didn't stop, and it was really nice. They got a nice, little bit of rebuilding year this past season, but I think next year they're going to be one of the top teams in the state.
Definitely. I think this year she kind of took her coaching to another level because her team was so young. Although they're very talented, they didn't have like a strong upperclassman
Yeah.
like leadership kind of like class, I guess you could say. So I think she had to coach even harder than she usually had to get them to all buy in and just get maximum effort out of all of them.
Yeah, and if you go into the games, everyone this past season, everyone got involved. Somebody else different. If somebody was off, somebody else stepped up in that role. To lift the team. They were fun to watch. They were one of my favorite teams to watch this past season.
Yeah.
So your senior year, talk a little bit about being a leader and knowing that after your class graduated, the team was going to be so young. What did you try to teach the younger kids to step up after your class graduated and how to be leaders?
Um, I think I just tried to be like a leader overall for the younger kids. We had a really strong and talented freshman class coming in. We knew that they were going to play because they had to play and they were very talented. So I kind of just tried to be there for them if they have any questions and always be there if they needed anything or if they wanted to get extra shots up and kind of just showing them the way because I'm sure freshman year is a scary time for everyone. So just being there for them and trying to teach them that they were great players and that we needed them to step up.
When I had Georgia on a few weeks ago, she said, how much she got to bond with you, whether, going to hoop group to shoot extra shots and stuff. And she really
Yeah.
she said, she learned a lot what it took to be a leader from you, which is great.
Yeah.
Now, during the season, you guys end up losing to St. John Vianney in the semis. It was a great game. Talk about that game, going down to the last second.
Yeah, that feels so long ago. I remember just being so like kind of proud, and I think everyone was shocked going into that game. I think everyone thought that they were gonna like kind of destroy us just because our team was so young. But I just remember being in the locker room before that game, and we were all saying that we could do this, we could beat them. And I remember at halftime, I'm pretty sure we were winning.
Mhm.
And then in the second half, I don't really remember what happened, but obviously we came up short. But I think after that game, our coach was just so proud of us and how much like we fought and how we proved to everyone that we were still one of the top teams despite what other people might have thought.
Yeah, being in the stands that game, you guys, I thought outplayed St. John Vianney. They had one run that they just couldn't miss, and it just
Yeah,
in college, especially you watch the NCAA tournaments, it's one run could do a team in, but
definitely.
one team doesn't miss and another team can't hit a shot.
Yeah.
So just real quick, States, Manchester, tough game. I thought Annie, the freshman, they played their heart out, especially, when Faith, got hurt.
Yeah.
What was your thought, being your last game, your thoughts, and, and Faith going down?
Um, I think going into the game, it was definitely like a different sort of feeling just knowing that this could be like my last high school game. Um, so I knew that I was gonna have to try even harder, and Manchester was a very talented team. We knew going into that game. And I think once Faith got hurt, it kind of drained a lot of energy out of our team, and I just tried to keep us going, kept fighting as hard as I could because it started to hit me that my high school career was going to come to an end.
And being at the game, I see it a lot when passionate seniors like yourself. I see soccer games I go to. When this career is over, tough games in state playoffs, and you see kids upset. Makes you appreciate
Yeah,
high school sports a little bit more. How passionate the kids are and how much it means to them.
definitely.
So moving on to college, your first year, what made you choose Harvard?
Um, I think the obvious choice, like the obvious reason is just because it is Harvard and it's one of the best schools. But I think also just the relationships that I had with the coaches. I started getting recruited by them after my freshman year, so they're
Well,
kind of kind of early on in the recruitment process, and they were always in contact with me. So I feel like it was just kind of meant to be. I always say with my parents.
I mean, that's great. And do you know what major you're looking at, or that hasn't been decided yet?
I haven't declared my major yet. I'm kind of all over the place, but I'm thinking about maybe economics or like architecture. I don't really know.
That's understandable. I have friends
Yeah.
that switched majors probably 4 or 5 times while they were in college. So,
Yeah.
um, so I mean, since you really don't know a major yet, you probably don't have a career goal yet.
Um, I actually, I'm pretty positive that I would like to, I want to play after college as long as possible, potentially like overseas. Um, and then I'd like to like become a college coach, I think.
No, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, just listen to the way Georgia spoke about you. I definitely could see that happening.
Yeah.
Now, what was some highlights you had this past season? I think you led the team in scoring, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's a pretty big accomplishment for a freshman, especially going
Yeah.
to D1.
Yeah. Um, I think just going into freshman year, I didn't really know what to expect, because it's different than high school. Like you don't really know the girls on your team. Like I watched some of their games the year prior, but it's kind of like a whole new world once you get to college basketball. So I just had to come in and give it my all and try to prove myself.
Yeah. What do you think a big difference is between the high school game and the college game on the court?
Um, Honestly, I think on the court is just like everyone is just as talented as you, if not better. And I feel like in high school, like there's a couple of good girls on each team, or one team that's not so good, one team that's really good. So I think that you have to know that every game you have, you can't take your foot off the gas because every team's going to bring it their all, and every team has talented players just like you.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good advice there. And people have been telling me I should go see AAU because that's even a different level than
Yeah,
high school games. So AAU is just college is just probably the next step up from those elite AAU teams.
yeah, definitely.
What's some advice you could give kids getting recruited, advice that you could give them?
Um, I think I would just say recruitment wise, don't try to just pick the best AAU team that you think. um, just by like social media wise, try to pick a team that you know you will thrive on and play on and get good exposure. And then another thing I would say is to don't be like scared to reach out to schools that you're interested in, because college coaches have a lot going on in their lives. So if they're not reaching out to you, that doesn't mean that they don't know you or that they've never seen you play. So I think putting yourself out there, emailing them, going to camps, which I know is tough now. I don't know if that's happening, but yeah.
I mean, that's great advice. I could see kids definitely afraid of reaching out to college coaches, thinking maybe they're
Yeah.
bothering them or not.
Yeah.
Um, before we start wrapping up, can you give any advice? Like you're going to Harvard Ivy League. Schoolwork is definitely probably a little bit harder than some of these other schools, being Ivy League
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
And Harvard, like Princeton, Duke's not Ivy League, but Duke expects a certain grade point average, and you know you're supposed to be another level when it comes to education. Could you talk some advice you could give kids going to the next level, how to balance schoolwork with basketball?
Um, I think that you kind of have to learn how to do that in high school, and that will kind of transfer into college, although it's different. So I think like taking challenging classes in high school, maintaining good grades, and having like a strong, good time management skills will carry over to college because that's a really big thing, time management in college, especially. College practices are much longer, and you have like big trips when you have games, so learning to balance school and practices that way. But I also would say that college is so much different than high school, just knowing that some days you'll only have one class or two or three instead of like eight that you have in high school. Um, so I think it's I wouldn't say easy, but you have a lot more time, rather like time in the day than just going to school for however many hours high schoolers go to.
I mean, I think the perfect, you said perfect with time management. You're talking to Jess Repeat of Marlboro. She's in one of the schools where they just give her assignments in the morning and she plans out her day. And she felt that in the long run, that's better because she can plan out her own day. Because I said, once you get to college, it's going to be similar to that. So, it's a
Yeah,
little advantage. They still give it where, basically the classes, you get a syllabus and, you go off that. Is it
yeah,
okay? Yeah. I mean, a lot of these kids, that's what they get to look forward to next year. You get a syllabus and you got papers due this day, tests or, midterms certain days, and so you got to manage your own time. And being able to juggle that with playing basketball, at D1 level, it's going to be difficult.
yeah.
So, Lola, anything else you want? I mean, we went through this pretty quick. I appreciate you joining me. I know a lot of parents were looking forward to this, so kids could get a little insight of what to expect at the next level.
Yeah. Um, I guess to like I don't know, like a closing thing I could say is just like to players, don't give up if you like think that you're not getting recruited by X amount of schools, or you see other girls like in your classes posting like, "Oh, I just got offered by the school," because if you put in the work every day and you are truly dedicated to the game, things will work out for you despite what level it is. And I think if you love basketball so much, you will be able to work hard and play collegiate basketball at some degree. So I think just working hard every day. Don't try not to listen to what other parents say about you or what people on social media say. Just try to be yourself and just work hard and kind of tune out all that noise.
I mean, that's great advice. Just this past season, I see fans mocking,
Oh
criticizing
yeah.
kids. I mean, they're not even parents. I hear things. Parents tell me things too that that's going on, and I just shake my head because people don't realize these are like 15, 16-year-old kids. They're not
Yeah.
adults, and they're talking about somebody playing like crap or something. First, everyone has a
Yeah.
birthday, but I thought that's great advice. Tune that all out, and
Yeah.
focus on yourself and how to get yourself better.
Yep.
All right, Lola, I appreciate you joining me, and thank
Thank you
you.
for having me.
And I look forward to catching next season if it even happens. Who knows?
I know. I hope so.
I know some high school coaches I've talked to are worried that high school basketball season might not happen, but I mean, it looks like they're trying to open things up a little bit faster. So hopefully, I could get to see you play Princeton again.
Yep. I hope so too.
All right, thank you, Lola.
Thank you.
Bye.